Hello and welcome to the Terriers Talk, Season 2, Episode 3. You'll notice today it's just me and Ben. Jack is on holiday, and he's probably going to be happy on holiday than in here because it's been a very, very dismal week at Huddersfield Town. Since we last spoke to you, we lost twice, and there are already conversations about whether Danny Schofield was the right man. So I guess let's just do it chronologically, Ben.
Yeah.
And Birmingham, what happened?
I mean, before Birmingham, there hasn't been any transfers that have been any really linked. There's been Alan Nixon saying that we're in for a centre back, but I'm guessing that's Jesse Deborah. I don't know if anybody can confirm or deny that. But I'm guessing it's Jesse Deborah who we've been after since the start of the window. Which,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, a few years time probably a good signing. Right now,
Yeah.
we don't. I mean, we need a centre back, but we don't need Jesse Deborah in the politest way of saying it. It's a tough one to go off because you take him, but the fact that there's no real signs of anybody new coming into the club at the moment with the way that we're doing. Obviously, we'll get into this more as the episode goes on, but there's no sign of any influx in how we're going to do, and yeah, Birmingham was almost a carbon copy of the first half of Burnley's first half. It was absolutely dire, and I don't think that's disrespectful or I don't want it to come across as this is negative, but there was
It's a true
no.
reflection of the team, isn't it?
Yeah, it was just there's no good words to actually describe that first half, and I genuinely think that sitting here and saying this and watching the first half back, you could maybe pick out a good point, and that's it, because there was no inspiration in that first half. There was no sign of anything. I don't want to say meaningful, but there was no sign of any positive outcome from that first half.
No, I agree. I agree.
Was it 2 goals in the first half? You can see the goal 10 minutes in, and then you can see the goal on the 45th minute
Yeah,
mark.
yeah. So fifth minute and 45th minute.
You're putting
Um,
yourself in a bad position.
yeah, no, you really are. Apologies if you can hear I think it's a leaf blower in the background. But yeah, I mean, as you said, we didn't start very well. That's been the tale of Huddersfield Town, albeit we have played 3 games, but it's still been the case. Schofield said that we've never, we failed to start well in any of the games he's managed. For 3 games in a row now, Burnley, Birmingham, and Preston last night,
Yep.
we've had boos at half time. We've had
3 games.
we've had discontent in the stands. I know at Preston there was discontent in the stands last night.
There was at Birmingham.
Was it Birmingham? Yeah. I mean, I just I
And
struggle.
I don't want to say rightly so, because I've never really booed. I've never booed a team off the pitch because I just don't really agree with it.
Yeah.
But I can understand why people are now. I can Against Burnley, you can kind of look at it and go, right, maybe not a boo, but just a bit of discontent. You could understand because we didn't look anything like a team that would be competing in the Championship, let alone against one of the top 10 contenders in the Championship.
But that shouldn't happen 3 times. We shouldn't be
No,
making
you
we
shouldn't
shouldn't
be
be
doing
making these mistakes 3 times. And the thing is, even though we've lost all 3 games, we've
that.
shown for 10, 15 minutes in the second half of
It
football games.
only 10, 15 minutes as well. It's the
Oh
exact
yeah,
same. It's
yeah,
the exact same. I
yeah.
mean, Schofield's press conference after the game said there was a few truths told at half time which nobody really liked and fans wouldn't want to hear. But the
No,
thing is, I actually would like to hear what was said, because there was a 10, 15 minute period after half time where we looked really bright. And I mean, the second half was an improvement. It wasn't major improvement, but there was something there, and there was some kind of idea that you can go, right, okay, there's something there that can potentially be built off. The
yeah,
issue is, though, is that's a 10, 15 minute period after half time in which some quote unquote not nice truths have been said. The fact that that's only lasting 10, 15 minutes into a second half, why is it taking some truths to go in 10, 15 minutes we
no, of course,
playing?
of
I don't
course.
understand it. I really
No.
don't understand it. And it's one of them things where you look at it and it's like, where are we actually what is the issue with first halves? And I mean, he said last night in his press conference. Obviously, we'll get onto it last night in general, but in his press conference last night, he said something along the lines of, their body language, how they start the game. We're working on it. And I'm sorry, but like, I'm not a football psychologist, and I don't want to claim to be, but surely players' body language isn't going to affect 45 minutes of football. It should be
No,
the
of course not. Of
how,
course not.
say, for example, my body language is all positive. I'm not going to go and win a football game off positive body language. And like, obviously, he'll know more about it than me, and I don't want to claim that thing. But from an outside point of view, surely you'd want there to be something meaningful, because if they're doing positive body language for the first half anyway, and we're still losing 3 first halves in a row by what, 7-0? That's embarrassingly poor.
It
That
is. It is.
really
It
poor.
is. It is. I mean, I think you summed it up perfectly there. It is quite embarrassing. And our fall from such a fine grace of last season.
Yeah,
I think that just epitomises what is wrong with the football club at the moment, and that really pains me to say, because I'm sure people listening will have a more intense view or a less intense view, and that's football. That's the nature of football. We all have opinions and they differ, but I think every single town fan can agree that these players, and most of these players, actually we'll get on to the players that do care,
yeah,
but most of them, the body language is just atrocious. I mean, you look at Sorba Thomas and Dwayne Holmes.
yeah. I mean, we'll that. I mean, it puts us onto a good topic to speak about the Bacuna run. Bacuna, right? I'll say it now. Bacuna would absolutely stroll into our team in his sleep right now. He looked excellent. He looked absolutely brilliant.
I mean, that video of him literally waltzing past our defence, and
5 players.
Dwayne Holmes came on 5 minutes earlier, and he looks like he's blown out of his backside.
Yep.
And he's walking.
Saw the watch back too. Who's meant to be who's meant to be able to be somebody that has played wing back, so has that intensity to run for 90 minutes and whatnot. Don't understand why there wasn't a foot put in or more of an effort put in, and he just walked back. Same with Holmes. Holmes just walked back. Lees came over, was gone past. Lyle puts in a slide challenge, which Bacuna just evades easily. Lees recovers to the goal line. Nichols comes out a bit. Ruffles looks.
It's just a mess. It's just a mess, Ben. It is just a mess.
It sums up why we are. It sums up where we are and why we are there so well.
No, I completely agree.
It was lackluster. It was timid. There was no structure to it, and I feel like that is really negative. But there's very little to be positive apart from
I agree.
30-minute spells in start of the first and start of the second halves.
Those 2 words you just said there, no structure. I think that does sum us up. I don't see, and people do say, "Oh, Carlos started, it didn't start too well." But with Carlos, you could see that there was somewhat of a structure. We wanted to move the ball about. We wanted to press high. We wanted to be intense.
Yeah.
I genuinely, and this is not me being fickle, or this is not me forcing an agenda against Schofield. I genuinely do not see at all what our tactics are. And our tactic at Birmingham was give the ball to Tino Andrin or Jack Rodoni, who deserved to be spoken about, because let's just say they were the 2
brilliant
bright stars in a very, very dismal performance.
Ward looked all. Obviously, everybody knows that I'm a bit of a fan of Ward, but he did well with the chance he got. It was a very well taken goal.
Yeah.
Tino looked unbelievable. He looked like he was going to come forward at everything, and he looked like he was going to put a bit of fear into them. And Rodoni, the thing is, Rodoni looks really raw still.
Yeah, he got unbelievable potential.
Nowhere near the finished article. By any shot, but he still looked absolutely terrifying on the ball as a defender. And I think you can kind of work out where he's going to be utilised. He's going to be coming off that left, and he's going to cut inside a lot. A bit like Josh Caroma thinks he is. But he looks dangerous. So did Tino. And if there's going to, I don't want to say if there's going to be any chance of us doing semi-decent this season, it will be as a result of them two, because them two like an absolute stars of the show.
And that was replicated last night at Preston, where we were promised a reaction.
Yeah.
I think we should move on to Preston because Birmingham was just an outright disaster.
I mean,
Probably
yeah, we can do. Yeah.
it was just dreadful. But Preston, we were promised a reaction. I think we always knew that there was going to be an integration of youth or maybe some players who probably deserved a chance but didn't get it.
Well, the lineup was Nichols, Spencer, who's first team
So
debut,
yeah, very promising.
Reg, who
No, Regent start. It
not
was Lees and Boyle.
Jason Boyle. Boyle got his
Then
debut. Then
Nakayama
Nakayama,
left back.
and then
Etienne Kamara made his first team first start. Or he might start in the cup. I'm not sure, but he looked very raw. But that's always expected. And then I think Conor Mahoney made his first start. Who actually I want to see more of. He looks up for it. Jordan Rhodes leading the line, and then
I feel like we're missing
Josh and Dwayne Holmes.
Who was the other midfielder?
Russell, who was that bad. I didn't even realise played. But yeah, we were promised a reaction. Preston put out quite a strong side, and they won it on merit. They were the better team. They were first to the ball. They were sharper. They were quicker. They were stronger. They were more intense. I was there last night, and the overall atmosphere was one of complete disarray. Town fans were arguing amongst themselves. We had chants of Schofield time to go, Schofield time to go, and this was in the 60th minute. Preston fans came in good voice. They had a lot to shout about, and they were a very good side. But what I expect from any Huddersfield Town team is 11 players that wear their heart on their sleeve and give 110% for the football team. I can only say Jordan Rhodes, Conor Mahoney, Jack Redoni, Tino Andrew when he came on, Dwayne Holmes. I can only say maybe a handful, 5 players did that last night. Which is really worrying. The body language of the players was just atrocious from the start. Actually, I think Nakayama did fairly decent on his debut. Brody Spencer was still quite raw, but I think he cares. Of course, he cares. He's a youngster. He'll fight for the shirt.
Yeah.
But it was just from start to finish. It was dismal, and I was stood with our mate Deck Ben, and for 2-0. About 5 seconds before I said 2-0 back post. Then 3-0 back post. Both went in. It's so predictable. And that's what Huddersfield Town is.
It's worrying. It is. I mean, you go 4-0 down in the first half and you go, right, okay, there's something that needs to happen here. Now you've got the option of a young winger that hasn't played a minute for the first team in a competitive game, who the fans are all dying to see. And I think I don't even think that's exaggerating it. I think you could be a lot kinder with dying to see him. I think that is the bare minimum of what Town fans are currently expecting. That could potentially influence a game. We're not going to come back from a 4-goal deficit, or it's unlikely that we are. But you can put him into that side, and he'll potentially give it a go.
But instead, you bring on Romani Edmonds-Green.
And was it Ruffles? I want to say.
And Jackson.
Oh, was it Jackson? Why is Danny Grant not getting minutes? I physically don't understand the choice to not put him on the game because then that opens 2 questions. It opens the questions of, one, is it just? I think somebody said something about it last night. Yeah. Is it one, just incompetence from the board, or is it 2, that he's not that good?
Not good enough.
Everybody can tell that he's got something about him from B team games. Seems to score or assist in pretty much every game he plays for the B team. Looks very good from highlights.
Yeah, but I don't get how he can be written off before he's ever stepped foot on the football pitch as a first team player for Huddersfield Town. And I think we'll talk about this. We had 2 interactions from players on social media last night. We had Tino Andrew on Instagram replying to a fan, and Danny Grant, who we had liking a tweet, which went on someone said at Danny Grant, pay yourself out of the contract, pal. Go play for a proper club that gives you time you deserve. And for he's like that out of frustration.
In all fairness, you might have misclicked, whatnot. So I don't want to put and say, yeah, Danny Grant is like that tweet with.
Of course.
Malicious, because he's unlike the tweet since.
Yeah, that was it. But you can understand his frustration. I'm not saying that's the right thing to do as a professional footballer, because that puts you into a lot of bother with the club, and we're not going to speculate on that. But I think it's important as a platform for a fan base of Huddersfield Town to talk about these players being frustrated and these players not getting the opportunity. So
I mean, you look at Grant. What he's been at the club for 2 years this season.
Yes. He's had so much bother.
He's what, 21?
22, yeah.
So he's come over a year older than what I am now. Moving to a foreign country. You've been probably promised that you'll start, or you'll be implemented into the first team or integrated into the first team on a decent process, and whatnot. It's been 2 years. Yes, he's been unlucky with injuries. I can't remember what muscles he's done in his legs, but he's
hamstring and all sorts. And he had COVID, and
he's had COVID, so it's not been the easiest journey.
Oh, of course.
But what time is better to start Danny Grant than
when you've got nothing to lose?
4-0 down. Just give players a go at that point.
Exactly. Don't bring on a right-sided centre half.
It don't make any sense. And don't get me wrong, I love Romani Evans-Green as much as the next man does. It wasn't the right time for him to come on, because at 4-0 down, in a cup competition where goal difference doesn't matter, don't bring on a defender and try and just hold them out.
Nothing matters when you're 4-0 down.
Just give the game a go. Just go, right, okay, this is where we are in the second half. We're 4-0 down. We've not really got anything to play for. Goal difference doesn't count. Let's go out there, see what attacking players we've got, what young players can do. See if they're ready to be playing at first team level. And that was a perfect time for Danny Grant to come on, because think about it. Say, for example, he comes on and he has an all right performance. He don't really wow, but he does enough to kind of go, right, okay, there's a player there. You can go, right, League One loan, League Two loan's what he needs, or potentially a lower Championship level loan, and then implement him in. Instead, we still don't have any idea as to where Danny Grant is against a Championship opponent. Is he going to play against Stoke? Probably not, no, because we seem to...
You probably won't make the bench.
No, we seem to love Josh Caroma, we seem to love Dwayne Owens, we seem to understandably love Rodoni and Tino. But he deserves a chance. Even Sorba, you can throw Sorba into that mix, because Sorba's been ridiculously... I mean, we spoke about interactions. Sorba's post on Instagram was woeful. It was absolutely shocking.
In case you haven't seen, Friday night Birmingham, he gets an assist by playing a pass that every midfielder should play. Yeah. Danny Ward finishes it. Mm-hmm. Actually, Tino Andrin does the best work in the build-up. But Sorba has to take to Instagram and say, first assist of many.
After having an, quite frankly, awful game.
And you compare that to the video of him literally moping back, not even to defend, just walking towards.
It's like you're walking through school and you're having a conversation with your mate. That's what them two were like after that.
Yeah.
And say for example that goes in, they're going to be the first two players to kick off a fuss about it.
Of course they are.
It's frustrating. It's so frustrating, because not even 5 months ago, that them two players would run back. And they and I'm not saying that's a problem under Danny Schofield. And I don't want it to come across.
It's not.
It's a problem with.
It's the players.
Those players have got, and it's an issue with. Right, there's two players there that 4 months ago would be running back. Even at 2-1 down, they would be running back, trying to defend whatnot. It's just two players that just could not be bothered, and just
Sorba believes in his own hype. And I think that's why everyone's kind of finding out that he's lost his luck, and that really he's not all that. And I truly believe he's not all that.
That after you've gone from his first season, he looks all right, potentially could do something, but at the moment doesn't look anything special. Would probably loan him out. So then having probably one of the biggest purple patches that the club has ever seen,
Was it
With that
16 assists, 17 assists?
16 assists, yeah. To
Something
now,
ridiculous.
he's gone back to a player that I don't want to say like Josh Carroll, but he's like Josh Carroll. He's had one good season and now just looks like he's not the same player. And he's
It's
3 games in, and you can't really judge off 3 games. And I will say that now. And say if Saturday has an absolutely incredible performance, we'll forget it and put it in the past. But this Sarba Thomas just
yeah.
isn't fit to play for Huddersfield Town at the moment.
Yeah, and I know we've spoken about body language quite a bit today, but it really is his body language is atrocious, and you compare that to someone like Tino Anjorin, who last night posted on Instagram and said, I think it was something like "You need rain to make a rainbow."
Yeah,
Which is quite, it's quite a decent analogy.
yeah.
He cares. He really does care. And then someone commented, "Tino lad, we got shafted," which black and white, we did. And he put, I know, mate, but I tried to lift everyone's spirits and get through this together.
Yeah.
That kid
could have been at
cares.
Everton. That's a lad that could have been at Everton. He could have been playing in the Prem right now.
Yeah, no, he could have.
Playing for Huddersfield.
He cares. And I think we need more people like Tino. When he left,
Tino first season looked like not that he didn't care, but that he just didn't seem too interested. Tino now cares, and it's now a case of going right. When you look at our starting 11 versus Stoke, which we'll get onto, Nichols, you can't really tell if he cares or not because he's a goalkeeper. It's not really too easy to tell body language whatnot. Turton looks like he cares. I'd say you can say the defence probably look like they cares. Forward, we don't really have anybody that look like they're too interested, and that's it's frustrating. It's frustrating.
Considering you have to score goals, I'm gonna sound like Michael Owen here. You have to score goals to win a football game, but you do. And if the players that firing your goals in don't want to run, don't want to press, don't want to play for the team or represent the shirt, represent the club's values, Terrier spirit, all that.
Yeah.
We're not going to get anywhere.
How many tweets did we put out in pre-season with the hashtag Terrier Spirit? I could not tell you one time I've seen Terrier Spirit this season.
No, not at all. No, not at all. I've seen more Terrier Spirit in the stands, mate. Honestly,
it's porn. I think it's fair to speak about Schofield, and
I completely agree. Yeah,
it's the Schofield situation is difficult to navigate, and I will say difficult, and I'll put emphasis on difficult. When do questions get asked? Because we said last episode, after 10 games, I think it was.
Half that. I think.
How much more has he got before we go, right? What do we need before we start evaluating this?
See, for me, so I've got two things. One is I don't think this should all be onto Schofield. I think quite clearly the players should take the blame. But in football, your players,
you're not going to come
take the blame. The manager,
the new players, are you?
No. The manager's always going to stick his neck out. And I think in this situation, I'll say this: we remember Jan Sievert. He was wrong place, wrong time. I truly believe Schofield is wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah.
See, we've got 10 minutes left, so we'll cover Schofield and we'll move on to the next two games. But anyway, I think he's wrong place, wrong time. It's quite unfortunate, and I think if just walking around the ground yesterday, hearing conversations, people were saying, lose at Stoke and we ask questions. And I agree, because I don't see how much longer this can go on, because when Carlos was doing badly, you could see even though the plans weren't coming to fruition how we wanted it, there was a plan there.
Yeah.
Fast attacking, good football. With Schofield, I genuinely do not see where our game plan is. And I don't know if you can offer anything else, Ben, but I just don't see where our game plan is. And we can't, and we've got 43, 44 games left.
Yeah.
Something like that. How many more can you afford to waste? Because that's all it is. But my problem is, and it is a problem, because I don't think he's the right man for the job. And people agree, some people won't. And I respect that. But what the problem I have is Dean Hoyle said he was always going to be the next man in charge. So Dean Hoyle is not going to take the decision lightly to relieve him of his duties, because he won't want to, because his contingency plan which he made abundantly clear was his contingency
Yeah.
plan, will fail. And he doesn't want to fail. He wants to, and of course I don't blame him. He wants to show the fan base that his contingency plan to a point scale third after Carlos left was going to be successful. And I genuinely think most people think it's not going to be successful.
It's the fact that we've already questioned what system we're playing. It's a question of
There's
is
no
it the
system.
players? Is it the fans? Is it the fans even? Is it the players? Is it the staff? Is it whatever? Is it the fan? Is it the fuck? I need to stop saying it's the fans. Is it the players just don't know what they're meant to be doing in the new system, or is it the manager hasn't made it abundantly clear what he wants from players? And we can sit and debate this for hours.
Oh, we could sit here for hours. Yeah, no, we really could.
You look at Schofield's 4 games in charge of Huddersfield Town, and it's either been what looks like a 4-4-2 on positional things through the game. It looks like a 4-4-2, maybe a 4-2-3-1.
Yeah,
I'll
go with 4-2-3-1. I don't think
the issue is at Birmingham. I don't know if this was just me, and if it looked different in other people's eyes, we'd be very interested to hear. But it looked to me like we played a 3 something. It looked like we had Romani Evans Green, Hogg, Lees on the left, and then we had Russell as a single holding midfielder, and then we had in front of him we had Rodoni and Tina. We had Turton and Ruffles as wing backs, and then we had Sorber playing off of Danny Ward. Now, I don't know if that's just me making that up, but to me it looks somewhat like a 3-5-2 with Russell being very, very deep and Hogg playing as part of the back 3.
Mm-hmm.
Lees looked uncomfortable in that. Hogg looked like this season's Hogg, which we've come to see as, and I feel horrible saying it, but Hogg just hasn't looked understanding this year. I don't think it's
I don't think any of them have, to be honest, except Andrew and Rodoni, who we keep going back to, because I think right now they are our only hope.
The fact that we can literally sit there though and go, well, I think there was a 3 or I think there was a 4, and there's the size of a 2, but it could be a 3, and it makes you actually think, what are we
shouldn't be umming or ahhing about what Huddersfield Town play and how they set up.
It should be very easy to tell what structure a team's playing, because it's as daft as it sounds, it should be very simple as looking at a team from a sideways angle and going, right, there's 4 people there, there's 3 people there, there's 3 people up front, that's a 4-3-3, there's 3 there, there's 5 there, there's 2 there, 3-5-2. It should be that simple, and the fact that you can't tell what it is, don't get me wrong, I'm a major fan of fluid formation changes throughout the game and changing as it goes. But it didn't really make any sense. Like I was saying, like the formation just it doesn't really seem like there's much idea there of what we're actually playing off the pitch and on the pitch as well. I don't know if players actually know what systems they're meant to be playing, which is it's frustrating and it's worrying, because it's frustrating in the fact of, is it a case of the players just don't have a clue what they're meant to be playing? Are they just not tactically aware of what we're meant to be doing, or is it a case of coach hasn't got it into them? And it's worrying for those exact same reasons too. And I mean, like you said about the continuity thing, the big thing about this appointment was that the work of Carlos Corberán was going to be continued, in the sense of we're going to play attacking football, or quote unquote attacking football, and it's going to be free flowing. It's going to be a lot of pressing. Not been any of that. There's not been any of that. And surely, hypothetically, if it was a case of we're continuing what Carlos has done, it'd be a case of him going, right, this is what you done last season for him. Do the exact same for me and we'll be fine. Like, obviously, neither of us are football managers, but surely it's the similar principle of just going, right, you know what to do. We'll change it a little bit here and there, but you know what to do.
Yeah.
And it's not being done. And that does make you go, well, how long has he got left? Because if you look at those next 3 fixtures, we've got Stoke, we've got Norwich, and we've got Coventry. I don't know where we're getting points from, because Stoke year on year is a game where we normally don't play well, home and away. Stoke are just a bogey team for us. Norwich away midweek. The last
I don't know
time.
why I'm going to that. I tweeted after Birmingham to think I was thinking of buying Norwich tickets
Yeah.
before the game, not a chance. And then it was yesterday, my Norwich tickets arrived.
Yeah, I mean, the last time we played Norwich away, midweek.
7-0.
I mean, it was the last time we played Norwich midweek. It was a midweek game. I failed my driving theory test, and we got battered 7-0. It wasn't a brilliant day. Um,
Right.
I'm not expecting anything other than a battering on Tuesday, which is optimistic. I'll be honest with you, it's optimistic because if we come away with anything less than a 3 or 4-0,
I'll be very
I'll be
surprised.
surprised.
Yeah, I mean
This
Norwich.
this is where we go and win 3 games on the bounce, but I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree, and I think for me personally, Stoke, if we lose, the questions are going to be asked,
Yeah,
and
rightly so.
Norwich, if we lose, I, I think then we've got to think, right, that's 5 games. Will it be 5 games? 5 games in all competitions.
Yeah,
If we lose all those 5 games, I don't see us being pulled out of this mess by Schofield. And I know it's very, very early on. And I
it's
know
early doors, but the fact that you're announcing a new manager in a post about Carlos leaving is it was disrespectful in the first place, but you
I
know,
mean, yeah, I mean that's a good point because everyone was so confused. It was like,
yeah,
is Schofield our new manager? We had to ask for clarification.
yeah,
People were saying when's the new manager coming? And I was going, I've got a new manager. And I
yeah.
think 5 games, 5 games in all competitions, if he does go after Norwich, or 6 games if he does go after Coventry, that's not a lot. Look at Forest.
The
Nine
issue,
games,
yeah,
bottom of
oh
the
yeah,
league. I
you
haven't
can
won a game.
you
Steve
can
Cooper comes in and now they're in the Prem.
you can 100% recover it, but the issue is which is partially why I don't think Schofield will go. Who do you get in? Who
No,
who
exactly.
who can
Exactly.
you realistically afford?
Who-
Because we
It's
we
not even that. Who wants to manage Huddersfield Town at the moment?
yeah, we've not got the budget to bring in players.
The
Apparently,
perfect time to bring in a new manager was that, as in externally, was when Carlos left because you've got a team who's
starts
finished
first.
third in the league.
Yep.
You've got a team who's full of heart and desire,
Yep.
and what and they hurt from the playoff final, and they want to go a step further and go all the way this time.
Well, that was what was said, and now you look at it, and it's a team that doesn't look like they want to be in the league.
No, I agree. I
It,
agree. I mean, Stoke is. I think the Stoke game is the
Stoke,
be all and end
Stoke
all.
is must win. And I know we speak about cup finals, and now every game is a cup final in football, but Stoke is the
For
biggest chance to
Schofield,
get
for
points.
Schofield, it's huge. It's
Yeah,
huge.
because
It's huge
the
for the
thing
whole team.
the thing is with Schofield now is Schofield's a very young coach, and if this goes not well, for what a better way to put it, if this really doesn't work out, then he can say bye to any managerial career for a long time. Because there was whenever he got spoke about, there was always somebody say I can't remember who said it. It was either Hoyle or Bromby who said that there was an offer from a European club
European side, yeah.
in in the summer for him, and he stayed. Um, which it doesn't really make sense as to kind of now looking at him and going, right, well, why are we where we are now? Because
Yeah,
he won't get an
if we
opportunity
got
like that for a long time now.
of
As a
course
result,
it will.
if we sack him 5 games into the season, it's like Seawert. The ideal is
You can draw so many similarities to see that
he's a
the
coach that's
situation
ready,
situation isn't as bad. Situation isn't as bad. Sorry for interrupting. The situation is not as bad.
isn't he?
We're not, we're not in turmoil. We're not just in a downward spiral.
No,
But you can
but
draw
I'd
so
argue the
many
team.
similarities.
I don't know. The team now just. I was saying the team isn't that bad. You've lost a few players, but there's a few players that are
No,
all
of course
right
it's
now.
not that bad. No, it's not that bad. It's
The
not that bad.
team coming down was it better?
Awful.
I don't know. This is
We had players who genuinely did not want to play. I
yeah,
mean, Benz, Carby, all them.
Grant.
all those players didn't just weren't interested. But it's
And then you had a shining light from Chelsea in that team. And you can compare a lot of the squads because there's some players that just look so disinterested, and there's very clear similarities. And we look at last year's team, and there was a team of players that wanted to play for Huddersfield Town.
Yeah.
There's a team of players this season that maybe a few of them want to play for Huddersfield Town, and that's concerning.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean Stoke.
Stoke's massive.
Stoke's huge, and I don't think you can go into Stoke with um a lot of hope and B an idea of how we're going to play, how we're going to set up, because I don't think the players know that. And I don't think it'd be fair for us to say we're going to set up like this, or we're going to set up like that, and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. I think Stoke is just you go out there, you give 110%, and if it doesn't come off, then questions have got to be asked. And I think that's the same for Norwich. I genuinely don't. I don't. This probably sounds lazy from a podcast, from a podcast point of view, but I genuinely don't have anything more to say about the Stoke and the Norwich game than you have to.
I think with Stoke, it's a case of Stoke are a team that their fan base is unhappy with the way that the club is at the moment.
Is it still O'Neill?
Yeah, still O'Neill.
Yeah,
They've got
I
a
like
club
him.
that have had problems with O'Neill for a while as a fan base, not as an actual club, because their management looks like they're fine with O'Neill.
I mean, they always. I mean, Stoke always start well. I mean, they were flying September last season, and then they just dropped, didn't they?
They lost Tyrese Campbell, and then it kind of all went a bit downhill.
Yeah.
And now you look at it as a sense of, right, where and what do we actually do now for this? Because do you come out and you go all guns blazing and you go, right, this is what needs to happen, or do you kind of look at it from a more resolute and go, we're just going to play it, we're just going to be absolutely horrible to play against? And
Yeah,
points.
I don't think you can tell with Stoke because they've just come off a 2-0 win at Blackpool, but they've also the first game of the season they lost 2-0 at Millwall.
Yeah.
Charlie Cresswell scored a brace, and looking at the stats here, they really offer nothing.
Yeah, and it's
4 shots, 2 on target compared to Millwall's 13.
and then you look at them last week against Blackpool, and they look brilliant. Or there was, I think, the second goal it was.
20 shots, man.
Yeah, I live with a Stoke fan, so I hear a fair bit of abuse, not abuse, but I hear a fair bit of discredit for Michael O'Neill. But apparently the second goal was the return of sexy Stoke. Like they just I don't understand it. Stoke is such a Marmite team in the sense that they will play some games with football. And then there'll be a few instances a season where they'll come out with some absolutely beautiful stuff, and I think that's why they've got issues with Michael O'Neill, because it's nowhere near enough, consistent enough. But I don't know. Like you said, I don't know what to say about Stoke other than the fact that you don't. Under Carlos, and I don't want this to sound like we are lovers of Carlos. Carlos is best manager ever, Huddersfield Town history, whatnot. But under Carlos, you somewhat had an idea of how we were going to set up, or how we were going to play, or this, that, the other. Yeah, it's only been 3 games, but I don't have a clue how Schofield's going to set up either game, and that's it's frustrating, it's worrying, it leads to so many questions, because you can go right. What are we going to do today? Because I don't know. I don't know come Saturday, and the thing is Saturday has potential to get very toxic very quickly, because if Stoke score an early goal, we'll have conceded within the first 20 minutes in all 4, was it 3 or 4? 3 championship games.
3.
And then you've got the 4 including the cup. It was 17 minutes against Burnley, 5 minutes against Birmingham.
Yeah.
6 or something. It was within 10 minutes.
Yeah. I saw people walking out in the 30th minute. I saw a post. On down the Mac where someone walked out in the, I think it was 37th minute, and made their 75-mile journey home. And fair play to you, sir. Fair play to you. I don't blame you. I mean, I've just been.
There was someone that I know that came down from Darlington yesterday to come and watch the game.
Right.
And the thing is you put it out there for people like that will spend their hard-earned money on it to come and watch this club. in a fixture that realistically means nothing in the long run. It doesn't mean anything. It's a trophy. Yeah, likelihood is we're not going to win that trophy. No, but
No.
you'd still expect us to put out a performance and go, right, this is what Huddersfield Town are going to do, and it's a something to go, right. We can have another look at it, and we can potentially see some of the younger lads and whatnot, and this, that, the other. You get 4 goals conceded in the opening 45 minutes.
Yeah, awful.
Train returned from Darlington from Huddersfield, from my knowledge, is about 40 to 60 quid, depending on when it is. Somebody spent 40 to 60 quid, which is what, say for example, you earn what minimum wage, about 10 an hour, I think. I may be very wrong with that. We are not a financial podcast, but it's about 10 an hour. So you're working 5 or 6 hours plus your ticket. You're working about 7 hours. So you're doing a full 9 to 5 day shift to come and see a 4-1.
It's a lot.
It's
a lot.
It's a lot of money for a very poor performance.
No, I agree. And I've just been looking at I mean Stoke, I think made it quite clear. Just go out and you've got to win. But I mean Norwich, I will be making the trip down with Jack. You're not going, are you, Ben? I don't blame you. Tuesday night, 7:45.
Yep.
That'll be an experience. I mean, I've just been looking at Norwich's opening 2 games. They lost 1-0 to Cardiff.
Yep. Which Cardiff looked very well in. Cardiff looked very, very good in.
And then they drawn 1-1 to Wigan, and Wigan just been promoted. So, and obviously Norwich have been relegated. Those two, when they clash,
they drew 2-2.
Yeah, and then
they threw away a 2-goal lead, I believe it was.
I think they lost last night. Was it on penalties? Oh no, they won on penalties. Oh. But yeah, I mean it's a very mixed bag. You got a win, draw, and loss in all competitions. But let's not forget they're Norwich. Yep. And I know people say it takes time to adapt to the Championship, and maybe these players aren't cut out for the Championship because it is a completely different league. You're relying on physicality, not technicality, if you get what I mean.
That being said, that technicality does play a large part.
Oh, of course it does, but I think it
doesn't play anywhere near as much as
of course
another league.
Yeah, it sits on the back step in the Championship.
Yeah,
but I still fully believe with the players they have, and that alone, on quality alone, I do think they're head and shoulders above us.
Yeah,
which is expected, but
it's tough because the thing is last season we'd go, right, Fulham's an excellent
we could beat anyone last year.
Fulham last season we got a 2-1. We lost however many goals it was to 1 last season. And obviously we can go. I do want to make a point of this towards the end after we speak about Norwich. But you can look at that game and you can go, right, there was improvement over the course of the season. They've just drawn 2-2 to Liverpool and we beat them 2-1 in February, March, April. I don't know when we beat them 2-1, but we beat them 2-1. They've just drawn 2-2 to Liverpool. I could not see us doing anything similar to that on Tuesday against Norwich because being being frankly honest, we don't look like a side that will threaten sides that have much better quality than us. I mean, all respects to Birmingham, but they're not. When you think of the Championship, they're not up there in terms of quality. There's a few players.
They just want it more. They want it more. Same as Preston. Preston wanted more.
Yeah, we just don't seem like we want it, and that's a complete turnaround in the space of 4 months that you can't put down to a manager.
No, you can't. But the manager will get the blame for it.
Yeah, and I think it's one of them things where you look at it from a perspective of last season. We'd scraped a draw against Derby. We'd lost 5-1 to Fulham, was it? And then we got our first win of the season in the league against Preston. It was a very sloppy 1-0. And then I can't remember what results were like after that.
Sheffield United.
We went on a decent little run after that, and then we lost to Borough, and then there was the 18 games, and then Stoke has the potential to be that Preston game, where if we just grind out a result, if we just grind it out and we get, it's so poor that I'm going. If we can get a point against Stoke, I'd be somewhat happy if there's signs of stuff. People have said on Twitter, there's the second half has been consistently better than the first half in these games. If we can do more than 15 minutes of interest in the second half, even if we can do it, if there's signs in the first half, it's positive. So if we can get, I mean, out of 6 points, if we can get 2, it'd be lovely. I don't think we will. I think we'll probably get 1, if any. But if we can get a few points, it would be appreciated. So it's one of them where we go, realistically, it's not all doom and gloom yet for Schofield, given what happened last season. But it's a case of, if there's results don't start coming soon, we're going to be in a bit of bother. Because like we said, Carl said that period at the start improved. If Schofield doesn't do that soon, then you've got to ask questions of the manager, because if there's no signs of a system consistently, as much as the players might not seem interested in it, you've got to say why are the players not interested in it? Why are the players not playing that style of football? Why are they not doing this, that, or the other?
I guess we'll have a bigger idea.
After this week.
After this week, we can talk about Saturday's game and Tuesday's game, and then preview Coventry.
Yeah,
I guess we'll have a better idea then. But right now,
probably be doing Wednesday, and it should be out Thursday, Friday kind of time.
Yeah, something like before Coventry.
Yeah,
but the general idea, and I think we've probably exemplified the feelings, or resonated the feelings of most Huddersfield Town fans right now, which is where are we going, what's our direction, and are we going to get out of this? And right now, I think this is a good kind of ending point. Right now, I can't see us getting out of this with Danny Schofield in charge, but
which it's horrible to say, because
it is.
He seems like a very good coach, and obviously we don't. I think the big thing about this podcast is, obviously, there's been a lot of, I don't want to say negativity, because it's been quite brutally honest, but it's been quite negative, and it's not really. We're both normally quite optimistic people, but it's been quite a negative podcast, because it reminds me of that Facebook meme. There's nothing to smile about in my life at the moment, because Huddersfield just aren't playing well, and it's one of them ones where you don't want to point fingers, but the fingers have to be pointed. If they're going to be pointed at anyone, they have to be pointed at the squad, and they have to be pointed at the manager. Yeah. And Danny Schofield, unfortunately, is the person that has to take the brunt of that. And as a first team coach, you know that.
That's in the job description. That's an unwritten rule of football. Yeah,
you can't come out and blame your players, so you've got to take the criticism yourself, unless you come out and you go, right, this player hasn't done well, this player hasn't done well, which will be on the fans' mind, and that will be on the fans' mind until results improve. But right now, you've got to look at it in a sense of there's got to be improvement, and I don't see where that improvement comes from, given the 3 games that we've played so far. But like Jay said, I think this it wraps it up perfectly, saying we've got 2 big games that even if results don't go our way, if there's signs of improvement and there's signs that this will be turned around, then the questions can kind of be held off. However, if there's 2 more games where the identity isn't there, there's no Terrier spirit, there's no sign of improvement, then that's when the questions have to be said and gone, right, this is becoming very worrying very quickly.
And we will see this time next week. Give it a week.
Yeah.
That's all we got to wait. Give it a week, and we'll be back
to discuss, hopefully, 6 points out of 6. But that is an ideal world, and if we live in an ideal world, we shall see. But that, I think, as we've said probably a few times now, gives it a perfectly time to round it up. So thank you for listening to another episode of the Terriers Talk. Obviously, it's been a bit different without having Jack here, but it's been a good one nonetheless. So we shall be back probably next week on Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. This should be going up Wednesday, ideally. Is it Wednesday today? We'll be going up Thursday.
Not that quick.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, kind of. We're waffling. We are waffling. So we shall see you later. And as always, please like and share the podcast around. It does mean an awful lot. And if you can leave reviews on both Spotify and Apple Podcasts and on YouTube, however you listen or watch the podcast, it's always greatly appreciated. So we shall see you for episode 4 and be covering what has happened at Huddersfield Town in that time period. Thank you, as always, for listening.
Bye.